Hey guys, welcome to chapter one of human physiology. And I know there's a voice transition right now. I kind of sound weird, and that's because I'm wearing a headphone. And I don't know why, but it affects the way I sound in the mic. But it's whatever. So yeah, let's just get into it. All right. And so in chapter one, we're talking about homeostasis. So in this video, I'm gonna go over homeostasis, and then in the next videos that I'm gonna post in a few days from now, it's gonna go over chapter two and chapter three. And so yeah, let's just get into it. So chapter one, it's homeostasis. Okay. Physiology is the study of body functions. There are two processes to explain body functions. They are teleological, which the explanations are in the terms of meeting a bodily need, and mechanistics, in which the explanations are in the terms of cause and effect sequences. The body is viewed as a machine, and both of these processes, for example, can be applied to body shivering. So the big question is, why do we shiver when we are cold? In a teleological explanation, that would be we shiver to generate heat and maintain our body temperature. This focuses on the purpose of maintaining our body temperature rather than the specific mechanisms that cause shivering. Now, in a mechanistic explanation, that would be shivering occurs when the hypothalamus detects a drop in body temperature. It then sends a signal to the muscles to contract rapidly, causing shivering, which generates heat. Uh, this focuses on the physiological process and cause and effect sequence that leads to shivering. So, in summary, teleological describes why something happens, and mechanistics describes how something happens, in which it explains the process itself. Okay, divisions of physiology. It is often divided by systems studied, which are renal physiology, cardiovascular physiology, and neurophysiology, the study of the events and interactions at the chemical or molecular level. Anatomy is the study of the structure of the body. The physiological mechanisms are possible through these structural designs. So the structure function relationships of the body include the heart receiving and pumping blood, or teeth tearing and grinding food. So what the structure function basically means is that the structure of a biological system is intricately related to its function. The shape, design, tissues, etc. are all optimized to perform specific tasks. The body is structurally organized into a whole functional unit. Its level of organizations are represented in this hierarchy, and it goes from atom to molecules to cell to tissues to organs to body systems, and then an organism. So what that basically means is that if you have more than two atoms, that makes up a molecule. If you have more than two molecules, that makes up a cell. If you have more than two cells, that makes up a tissue. If you have more than two tissues, that makes up an organ, and it goes all the way up to body system. Okay, now starting off with the cell. The cell is the basic unit of life. Um, some basic functions include obtaining food and oxygen, performing chemical reactions, eliminating carbon dioxide and waste, synthesizing proteins and cell components, controlling the exchange of materials, moving the materials, sensitive, responsive to environmental changes, and reproduction. Okay, now with tissues, tissues are groups of cells of similar specializations. There are four primary tissue types, which include muscle, nervous, epithelial, and connective. With muscles, there's three types. It is skeletal, cardiac, and smooth. And just know that muscle is used in movement. For nervous, just know it as transmitting electrical impulses. And for epithelial, it is the coverings, sheets, and glands. And epithelial has an apical surface. Now, what apical means is the outermost or the top surface of the epithelial cells, which include microvilli or cilia. So again, this is the epithelial cells, and on top of the epithelial cells are microvilli, cilia, and there's more, but those two are just the ones that I put in my examples. And finally, connective, which are the few cells dispersed in a large amount of extracellular matrix. And the examples include bones, ligament, blood, cartilage, and etc. And you might be wondering what the extracellular matrix is. Now, the ECM or the extracellular matrix is like a support system that exists outside of the cells in the body. Just imagine it as a web of proteins and other substances that helps hold everything in place and keep the cell organized. It's found in tissues like your skin, bones, muscles, and other organs, and it helps give them the structure and strength. And so yeah, that's connective. An organ is made up of several tissue types. The stomach is one example of an organ, and that's because it has all four components of tissues, which are again uh, muscle, which is the smooth muscle, epithelial, nervous, and connective. Now, with epithelial, the inside surface of the stomach is lined with epithelial tissue. That's one. The wall of the stomach contains smooth muscles, and that's two. The nerve tissue in the stomach controls the muscle contraction, and that's three. And finally, these tissues are bounded together by the connective tissue, and that's four. A body system is a group of related organs. The mouth, stomach, and small intestines are some of the organs of the digestive system. The body systems are circulatory, digestive, respiratory, urinary, skeletal, muscular, integumentary, immune, or the lymphatic, nervous, endocrine, and the reproductive. So just know the basics of the body systems, and we'll go over each of these later in the video. Okay, body systems maintain homeostasis. They maintain a dynamic steady state in the internal environment. The ECF, or the extracellular fluid, is the internal environment. Now, there's more to it, but it's kind of difficult for me to explain it, so I'm just going to play a video right here explaining what the ECF is. Okay, so I went back through his old lectures, and I think I get the gist of the slide, and I'll be summarizing it in this part. So what we have to know is that there is three compartments of the body, which is the intracellular fluid, the extracellular fluid. Now, in the extracellular fluid, sorry, or the ECF, it composes of the interstitial fluid and plasma. Okay. Now, in the plasma, it composes of the solution. Now, what the solution is just basically solute plus solvent. In the solute, it's amino acids, sugar, and ions, and the solvent is just water. And this is where diffusion and osmosis comes in. Um, Diffusion is the movement of molecules from area of high concentration to low areas of concentration without the input of energy. And the osmosis is the diffusion of solvent from areas of high concentration to low area of concentration without the input of energy. But the one that he was emphasizing is diffusion. Okay. And so then let's say your body has the normal concentration of blood glucose is around 300 milliosmoles per liter, and that applies to the plasma, interstitial fluid, and the cell. So if everything is equal, there is no net movement. That is called isotonic. Okay. And so then let's say you ate food. Okay. Now in the solution, um, solute would have went up, and that's because when you eat pizza, your sugar goes up, amino acid goes up, and a bunch of nerdy stuff that I can't even bother to explain will go up. And therefore, let's say the milliosmol in the plasma goes up by 350. And now the higher the number, that is called the hypertonic, and the lower the number is the hypotonic. So 350 has more solute, and the 300 has less solute. So now the question is, how would it equilibrate? Because as you can see, this is 350. In the plasma, it's 350. In the interstitial fluid, it's 300. And in the cell, it's 300. So how would it equilibrate? Um, Again, this would go from high to low. Okay, that's basically the only thing you need to know. It will go from high to low. So in plasma, as you can see, it has more solute. Therefore, it will give ISF 25 to equilibrate plasma and ISF together. And now, as you can see, there's 325 here, and there's 325 here. And in plasma, it lost 25, whereas in the ISF, it gained 25. Okay, but we're not done yet because in the ISF, it's not equilibrium to the cell. So what would happen again is that it's going to equilibrate over here. Okay, um, as you can see, the ISF gave 12.5 to the cell, and now the cell has 312.5 milliosmoles, and the ISF has 312.5 as well. Once they're at equal concentration, that is called the dynamic steady state equilibrium, and there is no net movement. And that's just about it about this slide. Hopefully that made sense. All right, moving on. Homeostasis is essential for cell survival. Body systems maintains homeostasis, and cells makes up body systems. So in this picture right here, I know it's kind of blurry. What it's saying is that cells makes up body systems maintains homeostasis, and homeostasis is essential for cell survival. Um, in short summary, by keeping our cells healthy, our tissues are healthy, it keeps our organs healthy, and that keeps our body systems working properly. Now, let's say one of our cell is unhealthy, then it's kind of like a domino effect of what would happen to the other body system. And so, yeah, that's just what homeostasis is. It's essential for cell survival. Many factors of the internal environment are homeostatically regulated. These factors include the concentration of oxygen, nutrient molecules, carbon dioxide, waste products, water, salts, and other electrolytes. It also includes the pH, temperature, volume, and pressure. So, the human body and their contribution to homeostasis. Okay. So in circulatory, um, it transports materials, which includes nutrients and gases. For digestive, it breaks dietary food into small nutrient molecules. For respiratory, it obtains oxygen and eliminates carbon dioxide. For urinary, it removes and eliminates waste from the plasma. For skeletal, it provides support and protection for soft tissues. For muscular, it moves the bones and thermoregulation. For integumentary, it serves as an outer protective barrier. For immune, it defends against foreign invaders. For nervous, it controls and coordinates activities rapidly. For endocrine, it regulates activities that require duration. And finally, we have reproductive, which is the perpetuation of the species. Homeostatic control systems operate locally and systematically. Homeostatic control systems are intrinsic and extrinsic. So for intrinsic, it is inherent in an organ. And extrinsic is the outside the organ to alter the activity of the organ. So this is my definition right here that I searched up. Intrinsic, what happens is the body fixes a problem right where it happens without needing help from the brain or other parts of the body. So for example, when food enters your stomach, the stomach automatically releases digestive juices like stomach acids to break down the food. This happens locally inside the stomach itself without needing instructions from your brain. The walls of the stomach have sensors that detect the presence of food and triggers this response. For extrinsic, what happens is brain or hormones tells your whole body on what to do to keep things balanced. So, for example, when you're hungry again, um, your brain sends signals through hormones like ghrelin, which makes you feel hungry. Then, when you start eating, another hormone called gastrin tells your stomach to get ready by making more acids to digest the food. Um, Essentially, your brains and hormones help coordinate the whole process to make the digestion happen more smoothly. So that's what the intrinsic versus extrinsic is. Um, Extrinsic control is accomplished by the nervous and endocrine system. So, negative feedback. Negative feedback opposes an initial change. It maintains homeostasis. Its components are control center, sensor, and the effector. The sensor monitors the magnitude of controlled variable. The control center compares a sensor's input with a set point. The effector makes a response to produce a desired effect. So, what you need to know about negative feedback is it's essentially like a reset button. When something in our body changes too much, our body works to bring it back to normal or homeostasis. So I know this is the picture from the previous slide, and so yeah, let's just get into it. So the perturbation. The perturbation is basically the change or the disturbance. It then goes to the control system. What the control system is a system or process that is being regulated. So the control system sends an output. The output is the result or the effect of the control system's response. Um, It then goes to the sensor. The sensor detects changes in the system and compares them to a set point. If the system is off balance, the sensor detects this and sends signal for corrections. The sensor then sends the error and signal. The signal message sent to the control system to fix the error, and the error is the difference between the current state. So the bigger the error, the stronger the signal. It then goes to the inverting amplifier. What that is that it takes the error signal and amplifies it in the opposite direction of the disturbance. The response is designed to counteract the disturbance or the perturbation and brings the system back to the set point. And that's what the negative feedback is. So an example of a negative feedback is insulin slash glycogen. So after you eat food, your blood sugar level goes up because your body is digesting food and releasing glucose onto your bloodstream. In response to the high blood sugar, your pancreas releases a hormone called the insulin. So what the insulin does is that it tells your body cells to take in glucose from the blood. The cells either use the glucose for energy or stores it as glycogen for later use. As the cells take up the glucose, your blood sugar levels decrease, returning to normal. Um, so then, when blood sugar is back to a healthy level, the pancreas slows down the release of insulin, preventing blood sugar from dropping too low. And then, let's say your blood sugar gets too low, like when you haven't eaten for a while. Uh, your body needs to bring it back up. So, what your pancreas would do is it releases a different hormone called the glucagon. The glucagon signals the liver to break down stored glycogen back into glucose and release it into the bloodstream. As glucose enters the blood sugar levels rise back to normal. And when blood sugar returns to normal, the release of glucagon slows down to prevent the blood sugar from going too high. And so, yeah, that's it for the negative feedback. Now, let's get into the positive feedback. Positive feedback amplifies an initial change. An output is enhanced and the controlled variable moves in the direction of an initial change. So instead of bringing things back to normal, it makes the change bigger until a certain goal is reached. So this is the picture diagram that we saw in the slide, except it was blurry. So this is kind of like the negative feedback, except there's a little change, okay? So everything starts normally, right? A change or disturbance happens, it goes to the control system, which releases an output. It then goes to the sensor, and the sensor is part of the systems that detects change and sends infos about these changes. And then the sensor sends signals. The signal is the information sent from the sensor to do other parts of the system, telling it what needs to happen, okay? And then it goes to the amplifier. The amplifier increases the strength of a signal, making it more powerful slash effective. So one example occurs during the birth of a baby. So when a woman is having a baby, the body releases a hormone called the oxytocin to cause contraction. These contractions help push the baby out. As the baby moves down, more oxytocin is released, causing stronger contraction. This keeps going until the baby is born, and then the process stops. And that's positive feedback. It amplifies an initial change. Disruption in homeostasis can lead to illness and death. Pathophysiology is the abnormal function of the body during disease. And that's the end of chapter 1.